Time to check in with our lizard overlords. What are they up to? Well, this.
Is this the worst hour now?
Are we done our first hour?
Yeah, we're into our worst hour now.
Keep your expectations of this episode low. Starting the worst hour now, I feel like we've crossed into maybe not great content hour.
Welcome to our worst hour.
I liked The Gambler. That was a good thing that we did.
So that also came up in the audience comments too. Somebody really liked the Gambler episode.
Actually, I had an epiphany the other day. And I thought that it would make for a good, it would bring some value to the podcast. And it would make a great Caleb's Corner. Because, he's obviously, prides himself on bringing value. So we could dedicate this part of the podcast to him. So I was listening to a song and I thought, this is one of the most appropriate songs that every single person should be, every single landscape contractor, as they head to a sales meeting, this should be on repeat as they approach the sales meeting to get them into the right mindset. Right? I mean, I don't think anyone's ever talked about pump up songs heading to your sales meetings. I don't think, has anyone ever heard that topic ever?
Nope.
No. So I think this song encompasses everything that landscape sales is. So I'm going to start going through some of these lyrics, and then I feel like you guys can contribute, and we're going to break down this shit. And at some point, you guys can guess what song this is, and then we can discuss that.
Are you going to sing it?
No, absolutely not. No fucking way. I'm not singing it. So I would say that, and I want to tell everyone that listens to this podcast, listen to this song on the way to your next sales meeting and tag us in a video of you listening to this song, and then tag us when you close the job, because this song will set you up for success more than any guru ever could. So I'm going to some of these are not always relevant, all the lyrics, but there are some good ones. So first one, on a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere. And that's what it's like. When you're driving to a quote, it's normally a warm summer's evening, and you could be on a train bound for nowhere, baby. Because you could get to that quote and nothing happens. It's just a wash. You get there and you're like, yeah, I don't want to resod your lawn, bitch. Like, this is not appropriate for me. This was a train bound for nowhere. I met up with a gambler.
Can I guess the song already?
Yeah, you can guess the song.
Chad, do you know the song?
I think so. So.
Sorry, I cut you off there, PK.
No, go ahead. You want to take your guess? Take your guess.
I think this is a Kenny Rogers song.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is a Kenny Rogers song. Yeah, but
nice.
I say that already you understand how this song relates to landscape sales. When I say on a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler, and we were both too tired to sleep. Right? So, he said, I'm going to skip a couple lines don't work in, so we're not reading all the lines, we're reading the relevance. He said, son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. That is what you are doing when you arrive at you are reading people's faces. And knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. When you walk into a backyard and you're asking about budget, you're reading those people's eyes and you want to know what the cards are, right? This song was built for this. And then you can look at those people and you can say, so if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. And for a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice. Now this is when they ask you, what should I do about my drainage problem? Mike can say, for a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice. These two lines are great, but they don't have that much to do with it So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Can you see Mike in the backyard taking some retired dude in Kitchener's last swallow of whiskey?
Tired
And,
dude.
and then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. Oh, that one's not. This one is actually related to sales. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. And that's when you said to them, "Yeah, this is going to be at least 50 grand." And that's when the meeting gets deathly quiet, and their face loses all expression. And then you got to say to them, this is the next line. If you're going to play the Game Boy, you got to learn to play it right. And that's you saying to them, if you don't do this right the first time, you're just going to pay me to do it right the second time. This song is an inspiration to landscape contractors. I heard it on my Sirius radio, and I was like, now we're in the chorus, and this is you got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them. So you got to read them, and you got to realize, how much can I charge for this job and still get the job? Or you also have to know the next line is, know when to walk away, know when to run. So when you meet two people that don't speak the same, two old people that can't agree on what you're doing, Chad knew when to run. If you listened to an earlier episode,
Yeah.
What?
that is that is a great. Know when to walk away. I feel like most landscape contractors should have some of these lines tattooed on their arms, so that when they meet a client or they're in a bad situation and they're like, fuck, you can literally say, you got to know when to walk away and you got to know when to run. And this is a run. Right? This one I like too, because this is what I think happens to most younger contractors when they start getting their deposit money coming in. They're getting all their spring deposit money. Their accounts are looking good. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. And that's when you don't count your money when you're getting your deposits. You count your money when all your jobs are done at the end of the year.
That's good.
I feel like that's solid advice. Like, every gambler knows that the secret to surviving, and I have talked oftentimes about how I think that every contractor is an addicted gambler. I truly believe that all of us are addicted to gambling, because when you're a contractor and you're working for yourself, there's no guaranteed outcome.
Yeah.
And if you work at any job, if your life is dependent on money from things that you're doing with no guaranteed outcome, you are addicted to gambling, and you should be in some kind of Gamblers Anonymous group. So every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. So you gotta know what jobs to throw away and what jobs to keep, because if you keep them all, you're fucked. And if you don't keep the right ones, you're fucked. I like this one because I feel like this line really relates to Chad's theory of, I'll get the job and then I'll figure out how to make money.
There we go.
Because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. When I heard that line when this was on the radio, I was like, that is fucking Chad right there. I'm gonna win this job, but it's a loser. I was a loser to be a winner, because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. And I feel like this job is absolutely relevant. This line is absolutely relevant to every landscape contractor on the planet. And the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep.
Is that an actual line in the song?
That's the line in the song. And the best is, because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. And the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep.
I don't even remember that in that song. That's crazy.
But and somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. Like, how many times did you break even on your gamble? It's dark out. So you got to imagine yourself. It's dark out. It's 10 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock at night. It was finishing day. It didn't go well. It's and somewhere in the dark list, as you're driving home, the gambler, the contractor, he broke. You look around and you count your dimes and go, "Fuck! I just broke even, and I worked a 15-hour finishing day." That's like some. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. That's when he says, "You got to know when to. It's time enough for counting when the dealing's done." So, I think that there's a lot of advice in that song.
Yeah.
That as I feel like if every contractor was listening to that song as they headed to every quote tomorrow, Mike, as you head out on your consultations, make sure you're listening to the Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, because I think you just have a better day. Plus, it's a fucking great song.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't even know there was a movie till I googled it. Like, how bad is that? I'm gonna watch that movie. There's a movie with Kenny Rogers in it called The Gambler. Where he stars in the movie. Yeah. The guy had a great beard.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? That should be the theme of
That is, yeah, that's a great landscape theme.
Very applicable.
Because I feel like that was. Oh, we had the 200th episode this year.
Oh wow, 200 episodes.
So here's the video. This is made by Stefan Poirier. He's the rep for Romex as well as the Smart Level, and he's an avid listener of the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Can you guys see this?
We can. It's pretty awesome.
I'm going to
it's gone
take it down. Yeah, because I forgot to share the sound too. All right. We'll press play. You'll notice that it's referencing different episodes. So maybe once we see like a reference on an episode, we'll pause it and we'll kind of react to it here. Ready?
Sure.
Your Finest Hour podcast. What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard it's not for everyone.
I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really, really enjoyed that.
I'm not in.
My name
Double
is
guard
Garth.
situation.
It's a double Garth situation. That's such a great reference.
That is good.
A double Garth situation. Yeah.
Endorsing anything. From what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it.
Is that what Garth looked like?
One of the Garths. One of the Garths was older and one of the Garths was younger. So I'll say that guy looks like a Garth in this video. Like everyone should go and watch this video because that guy definitely, you feel Garth when you see that guy.
But first, I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Almond is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff is absolutely killer.
There's a problem on the job site.
I
like
problem.
that. Do you guys see the billboard in the back? I wonder if it's going to zoom in on that.
Oh yeah, now offering low 20s and cash.
Ask about Chad's 9-year warranty.
But then it has City of Oshawa at Gmail.
This is so good.
City of Oshawa at Gmail.
Do you see this?
Yeah.
Hope you like free empanadas.
Oh, there's one that says Bank of NDL. That's a cash machine.
All right, let's see if we zoom in on those.
Someone DM'd me about how they were like financing some job based on the episode of the podcast.
It's not as out to lunch as you think.
I was like, I don't think that's great advice, but anyways, I don't remember. Fuck, I don't remember. Anyways, they DM'd me about it. I don't know why they should DM Chad for more advice.
Yeah.
Feel any oppression tonight? In fact, I feel very free. And Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
Your Finest Hour podcast. What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast.
What's that from? No tight ankles allowed.
It's the compaction test guys with their
Oh.
tight pants.
Oh, I see. Got it.
How many people sent you guys the video of the compaction test guy hammering in the thing with perfect form?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got like at least 3 people sent it to me, and everyone was like, "What kind of car is that guy driving?" 100% a Corolla, baby.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bunch of the guy who splits his day into 3, the 6-hour days. I'm getting a bunch of those sent to me. The guy who says, "Oh, my first day is 6 hours, my second day is 6 hours, my third day is 6 hours." That guy.
That's how he gets more days.
One of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard it's not for everyone. I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really enjoyed that. I'm not endorsing anything. From what I said, from what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
What's the mixing of the, or is that just a tilt? Oh, it's mixing cocktail. Oh, there's pickled eggs.
There's pickled eggs.
Using a tilt rotator to mix martinis or something.
That's right. That's right.
Not or something like that, right?
I think I said something about it being making videos.
Yeah.
No one would sponsor me or give me a tilt rotator. There's a lot of bags of polysand there.
Yeah.
I wonder how many
references here.
I wonder how many bags of that polysand are failed, like 2%. So in that pile there's at least 2 or 3 failed bags of polysand.
First, I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But
did you see the excavators made in China?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out.
This bin in this video where it says fuck decks, build patios, and there's people overloading a bin. So I just got 2 bins that look exactly like this. Like they're exactly like these bins, these green bins that are like, because some guy owed us like $6,000 since last year and said, "Can you come and take these bins and we'll call it even?" And I'm like, man, I don't need any more bins, but I feel like this is my best opportunity to get something for my $6,000. So sure. Anyways, interesting. Those bins look just like the new Paper King bins.
Is it safe to load a bin that way, Mike?
No.
The knee in the back there?
I do like that the truck is standing up on end.
Yeah, that's good.
Out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff.
A pile of clipboards? What's that from?
I have a pile of. I was talking about
the paperwork,
all the paperwork and the clipboards and giving them to the trucks and the whole 9 yards about that.
Gotcha.
Is absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression tonight.
Oh, there's one of those things.
Oh, the
thing that Jeremy Swihart has.
Oh, I thought that was referring to the mini bulldozer. What do you call that? The Centaur or something like that? We talked about the mini bulldozer? The Minotaur, that's the one.
The bulldozer skid steer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was I think that probably makes more sense. Yes.
I feel very free. The Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
Free polysand.
Finest Hour podcast. What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it.
Like my truck.
What?
It's got AC seats like my truck.
Oh, is it the AC seats? I thought that was water.
Well, maybe it's water.
I think it's a waterfall. I don't know.
I've been told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
I wonder if that's you running that skid steer.
Yeah, that's your mini.
That's too wide. It's your mini.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's too.
That you bought, yeah.
I see.
Too wide.
That makes more sense. That's good.
Listen to it, but I I've heard it's not for everyone. I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really enjoyed that.
I'm not endorsing anything. From what I said, from what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun.
Oh, that's an old reference from like. That's a really old reference.
Cash grass or
Cash grass for ass. Yeah.
That's from like absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression.
Bank of NDL.
In fact, I feel very free. But Not Our Finest Hour.
Distribution center coupon.
That's great. Cash rebates, 9-year warranty financing, distribution center.
So that lady reached out to me. We did this little pathway in her front entranceway, and the finance lady, the lady wanted her job finance, said she'll reach out in the spring when she's got the money for her project. So I don't think it's going to be a finance thing. I think it's going to be a cash job, not a cash job, but a job where they have the money to pay for it at least.
Gotcha.
Did you work out the terms on the financing job?
No, we never had to, because she must have listened to the podcast and thought that 20% or whatever it was too high already.
Perfect.
Yeah. One in the bag for next year.
Being here.
Your Finest Hour podcast. What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard.
Oh, it's the
Pelican from my trip to
Panama.
Yeah.
Wow, that's another
Pelican.
old one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heard it's not for everyone. I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really enjoyed that.
The Geo Ripper.
Geo Ripper.
That's great.
Oh, there's a saw with wheels.
Oh, is it a saw with wheels too?
Just by that brown box is a saw with wheels.
Oh,
and
I see your fan Squadra driveway here.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Do you see that? That's the fan outline of your Squadra driveway.
Your scallop design.
Yeah, it's probably going to zoom in on it, but it's right here.
There's a guillotine.
From what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb.
Oh, it's the chain.
Oh,
pulling on your driveway.
Yeah, chain on the edging.
Oh, that's great.
Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff is absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression tonight. In fact, I feel very free. Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
Your Finest Hour podcast. What is that all? I mean,
Oppression Summit.
Oh, is that what it says? Is blocked. Oh, okay, Oppression Summit. Nice.
It says Oppression Summit.
And canceled.
10x this baby.
Nice. Gurus line up here. Oh, with the guillotine.
Oh, that's for the guillotine. Yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah.
What's the reference to the woman dressed up with the high heels?
I don't know. There's some
head underneath it. I said, if my head rolled off, I would want it to go.
Oh, look at the whole skirt. Yeah, that's great.
Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been
that's great. Crickets. Sponsors line up here. Crickets.
told told it's
That
not
is
for everyone.
great.
I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard it's not for everyone. I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really,
It's a
really
big
enjoyed
lineup
that.
of gurus.
I'm not endorsing anything. From what I said, from what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff is absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression tonight. In fact,
Caleb's
I
Corner.
feel very
Caleb's
free.
Corner.
Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
Your Finest Hour podcast. What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been
What's that referencing? Do you know?
The shovels?
Yeah.
told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've
That-
never
Can't shovel your way to a
listened
bad
it, but I have
price,
heard
or out
it's
of a
not
bad
for
price.
everyone. I listened
Oh,
to the Finest
yeah.
Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really, really enjoyed that.
I'm not endorsing anything. From what I said, from what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
I think
Of course,
that's
through
it.
all the Not Our Finest Hour.
Take massive action.
I think that's it. I just muted it as it zooms out.
Oh, it says take massive action. That's
Right.
funny. The shoveling out. You can't shovel your way to a good price. That's a great video.
Yeah.
The final thing,
Oh,
how you
oh,
how you surround yourself with will determine your future.
yeah, it's the greatest quote of all time, man.
We're getting close to 300 by now.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. I like the Rate My Truck episode that we
Oh,
did.
yeah.
The segment that we've been doing.
That was a good one.
So Zachary Sweet was DMing me about what was he DMing me? He DM'd me and said, "Would you review my truck on their podcast and give an opinion on it if I send you a picture of the truck?" I thought this is a great. Zachary Sweet had a great idea. We can rate people's rides, and he's looking for. He enjoys hearing me talk about the trucks because I appears I really care about them, which I do. And they seem like they're looked after, and I take pride in my equipment. So he wanted to see what kind of advice we would give you on the truck. So that's his first dump truck. And he's
Dump truck? Like he still has this?
yeah, I think he just got it. It's his first dump truck. It
Oh,
is.
Wow.
It's a 1987 S1600 International 6.9 liter motor with an auto tranny, which I find for 1987 to have an auto tranny, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
Like, that's
That
wild.
truck is older than you.
Then who, me?
No, Mike Platts. That truck is older than you.
Sorry, what was the year? I zoned out.
1987.
Wow. Okay.
What year were you born, Mike?
90.
I was talking to today. I went to look at a retaining wall for one of our clients, and I was talking to their project manager, and the retaining wall was in Pickering, and I called them with a couple questions because it's like the only road in and out of the property. So I said, "Hey, are we allowed to block this? Like, what are the rules here? Because this is going to get kind of intense." And he said, I said, "Oh, this is good. It's in Pickering. It's close to us." I said, "Actually, I grew up around here." And he was like, "Oh yeah." And then in talking to him, I just said to him, I said, "How old are you?" And he's like, 26. I was like, "Yeah. So like before you were born, I used to hang around in the car stereo shop across the street when I was working on my 1990 Mustang, whatever the fuck it was." Like 15 years before you were even born. I was like, oh my God. Anyways, This truck reminded me of that. So I think that this is a great truck. Personally, I think this is a great truck to start out with. It's reliable and simple.
I'm worried about parts if you ever need shit, right? Like, they gotta be. Oh, we don't make that anymore. It's in 1987, but it's a
Maybe.
beautiful truck for what it is. You know, like 1987. Holy shit, it's in great shape. We had one exactly like that rotting at the yard. I think we still do, and it looks nothing like that.
So he's saying, should he paint it his company colors and put his logo on it? I think he should.
I think he needs aluminum rims.
I think you need to paint it your company colors and you need to put your logo on it, because even if it's an older truck and maybe you only keep it for 2 or 3 years, it's still, to me, it's still worth it to paint it and put your company logo on it. And
I would disagree on that, just to provide some sort of disagreement here. I would say if this is just like a 2-year truck and you are only like a owner operator or one crew, I would just run it into the ground, maybe slap a logo on it, and then just save up for that next truck where then you would actually brand it. But I don't think that having one truck on the road is worth enough awareness to just put, invest that much money to paint it and put a logo on it.
I want to split the difference. You're going to wrap it for half the cost of painting it.
It's cheaper to paint it.
No, not that body style. Look at how flat that is.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. The wrap guys around here would be cheaper than paint. But
maybe they would. I don't. It's so weird. Like, I don't. Maybe they would be. Maybe that's a good idea. Wrap it, paint it. Maybe you could change your company color to blue.
Just wrap the door.
Yeah, or just change your company color to blue. I think it's an awesome truck. I'd be super pumped if I had that truck.
I like that blue. I like it, stands out.
I do like that blue.
Yeah.
And that blue is very much appropriate to the age of that truck. Like that color of blue in 1987, like it's very appropriate to the age of the truck. If you want to see the truck, we would recommend you go to our YouTube channel, like all 4 people did last week, and watch this on the YouTube channel when Mike gets it up 3 months from now.
No, I've been on top of them.
You have
I've been on top of them.
All of Chad's faces were in my YouTube feed this week. So I went over to the channel and I saw that like we are pulling in a solid 6 to 7 views per episode. So I think that, in my opinion, Zachary Sweet's dump truck is awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's sick.
As somebody who knows nothing about trucks and equipment, I love it.
I think that's a good motor. It's a good setup. You got to start somewhere. Yeah, I think it's great.
it's bigger than my first dump truck. I had a 7.3 F550, which still runs around town. We sold it to another landscaper.
I was just seeing where he was from.
He's from New Brunswick, I think, eh?
Nice.
Zoom up on that license plate.
Zoom in and enhance.
Should we be doing that?
Probably not. Well, he did send us the picture. Did he ask us to? Yeah, I don't think.
Every time someone's selling something, they put their thumb in front of the license plate.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to block it. Who gives a shit?
You drive on the road, everybody sees it.
Yeah, everybody sees it. Anyway, they can't do anything with a license plate number.
Exactly.
I guess they could look up where you live and then come and steal it.
How can they do that?
I don't think they can.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
You don't think that people can hack into a database and get where your license?
I think if you can hack into a database,
I don't know what
much more valuable things than searching up a license plate.
Some dude's Ferrari, and stealing some dude's Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess some people have a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
But,
Yes, Moncton, New Brunswick. Go Zachary Sweet. I think that truck's awesome.
I think we should do more of that.
I do think we have some still in the bank for some Rate My Trucks.
I told Josh Sutton we'd rate his truck. Then I lost the photo of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, in typical, not our finest hour fashion.
I think that everyone should remember this quote too. How you surround yourself with will determine your future. Like that was a great quote.
Oh, the Fragmites happened this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that definitely stimulated a lot of online furor.
I'm gonna run down this scenario, and then you guys tell me if I'm getting fucked here or I'm in the wrong, because I could be in the wrong. It's not like I'm not wrong about tons of shit all the time. So 4 years ago, before I'd even heard of the Canoe Museum, a decision was made to scrape up all the soil into a big pile. And even though on all the drawings it says leave the soil on site, a decision was made. This is before why is this happening? What is this? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck this is.
It's Bill Gates.
It's fucking Bill Gates. It's fucking with my computer. It's like downloading some kind of shit that's in the way. I sort of see through it, but can't. It's really fucking annoying. I hate computers so much. Anyways, it says good evening, September 3rd. I get the fuck off with the good evening. Here's a settings thing. Can I close this bitch? Maybe this thing will close it. Anyways, this is like some kind of like, oh, it's gone. Fucking stupid shit. So a decision was made that there wasn't enough room on site to keep the soil on site and continue with the construction project. So between the owner of the Canoe Museum and the contractor at the time, and the general contractor, they made a decision to haul the soil offsite, store it at the excavating contractor's yard, and then when the time was right, the landscape contractor, or I guess at the time they thought maybe the excavating contractor would haul it back. So keep in mind, this was like 4 years ago, and I had absolutely nothing to do with this process. So in that process, they loaded all the trucks from the excavator with the excavator and hauled it to this property. Then it sat there on this property for 3.5 years in a big pile, supposedly. Now, I don't know what happened to that pile during that time either. It supposedly sat on here. And then it was screened by the screener on site at the topsoil place. And then we were forced, during that time, Sitescape was awarded that contract. After all this happened, then they went bankrupt. And then in the middle of the bankruptcy, the Canoe Museum begged us to take the contract because they had no one to do the work. So we said yes. And then part of the stipulation in our contract was we were absolutely forced to buy the soil from Drain Brothers, the excavating contractor. No choices, absolutely forced to buy this soil. So we coordinated with Drain Brothers. They screened the soil. And then we picked up the soil, brought it to the job site, dumped it, spread it, completed the work. Now, 3.5 months after the work has been completed, or 3 months or more since the work's been completed, in the swamp area, there is an invasive species called Phragmites growing, which are a long, tall grass. It's in every ditch in Ontario. It's everywhere. This shit is fucking everywhere.
It's called Phragmites?
Yeah, Phragmites. It's a long...
Heard of
supposedly the Chinese government sent it over here decades ago in seed packets, trying to wipe out the natural habitat of Canada. It's a Eurasian grass. and it's very invasive. It puts poison. I know a lot about this now. So the Phragmites are now growing in the swamp area. And if you read about them, the only way to get rid of them is a controlled burn or completely flooding it till they die from oversaturation, because they only live in damp areas, but they won't live in a swamp. So on the drawing, in a tiny little box, it says landscape contractor responsible for invasive species.
What?
So
should I be about this?
You should be looking into this. Every site you go to, you should.
I could be
telling you right now, this is going to cost me between, I don't know, low estimate, maybe 30 to 40,000. If I'm going to fight it in court. I'm going to go clean these Phragmites out once. And I told them today, if you fucking ever call me about this again, we're going to court, because I went and did an inspection on the soil storage site, and the entire place is infested with Phragmites. There's fucking barn grass and Phragmites growing out of the topsoil piles at this place. So that means everything they own, every truck, every screener, everything they own is covered in seeds from this shit. So they took the soil that had no Phragmites in it, screened it, and sold it to me full of Phragmites. Then we fucking took it and spread it under contract, restricted to only buy the soil from these people. No other choices. Make that clear. We had absolutely no choice but to buy this soil because of the indigenous properties of the soil. This soil has some kind of indigenous properties, so the soil has to come return to the site from the site. Except when it returned, it was full of this shit. Now, we have a crew going there tomorrow to pull it out, but from what I can tell, it just grows endlessly and you can never get rid of it. And we are just going to keep pulling it and pulling it and pulling it. And I'm like, first of all, this shit is everywhere in Ontario. Every single place you go that has a ditch has Phragmites growing out of it. It is fucking everywhere. So the first problem is this shit could have just blown in from the road. They are now expecting.
The common name for Phragmites is common reed.
Yeah.
If it's so common, it's going to be fucking everywhere.
Because there's two types. There's the Eurasian invasive Phragmite common reed and the natural growing common reed. The natural growing common reed is a red stalk. The Asian one is a greeny blue stalk. So tomorrow, because this also became an emergency, this must be done immediately, because the Phragmites are about to seed. And if they seed, God only knows what will happen. And I'm looking around going, you know what will happen? This place will look like every other fucking place in Ontario that has a little swamp. So tomorrow, luckily, because both our crews are busy, JRC, Justin, is sending his crew out there because he had some availability to pull out all these Phragmites from the swamp. They then have to be bagged in clear plastic bags and baked in the sun. I'm like, can I just throw them with the other ones in the ditch across the street? The ditch across the street from this fucking place is absolutely fucking full of this shit. This shit couldn't have blown across the road. No, it definitely came in my soil. It's definitely me who fucking, after you forced me to buy it from these fucking moron hicks in fucking Peterborough. First of all, I have to buy it from a bunch of moron hicks in Peterborough. And then I also have to fucking, they are the ones that infected this soil. And I'm the only one that's been fucking responsible for this shit. Like, this is, so now we just got another job in Barrie. The first thing Jack did was go up there and photograph every Phragmite on the site and email it to them and say, this shit is here, not our problem, not our fault, fuck you.
And they're probably like, why the fuck does it even matter?
That's exactly what they're like. Why do we care about this? And I'm like, I don't know, because we're getting jammed up our ass. So a bunch of fucking Peterborough hillbillies haul shit in fucking infested trucks, and I gotta pay.
Is this the same landscape architect that you spoke so fondly about?
This is not her fault. She was called by the Canoe Museum because some Karen ass woman was at the Canoe Museum and saw the Phragmites and marched in there to scream and yell that they had an infestation. So then obviously the people at the Community Museum were like, well, we better find out about this infestation. So they called the expert that they know, the landscape architect, who had to do a report, who then told me to go pull it all out because somehow this is my fucking problem.
It's
She couldn't
destroying
come
his
to
vision.
bat for you,
What?
and she couldn't come to bat for you and say this is literally everywhere. Let's not make a big deal out of this.
No, she couldn't come to bat for me and say that would be too easy, Chad. That might happen for you, but that would never happen for me.
I thought you said you liked this woman.
I do. She's great. She gave
This
us.
is not
She gave
fair.
us. I said because it's the Community Museum that did this, not her. She put this. She did the report saying it
But
must
she
be
had
removed.
the power to squash it right there.
She did.
You know she did. And if she's not a friend, she's an enemy.
That's the fucking truth.
Case.
But she did give us a sick residential job we're working on right now. So like she's in a bad spot because she has to write a report. So I told them we're removing these things once, but they're going to and I said today when I met with them, they're going to come back. It's an invasive species that's been going on for decades in Ontario that no one knows how to get rid of. But magically, the team at Paver King knows how to get rid of the Phragmites. No one else does. But fuck yeah, we'll come up with some solution. This is, of all the fucked up things that I've had to deal with as a commercial landscaper, this is probably the winner of fucked up things.
It's 3-step combination of spraying herbicide, mowing, and controlled burning repeated over 3 years until the patch is eradicated.
The patch. But the problem is there's another patch growing across the street, Mike. Like the parking lot across the street is stuffed full of Phragmites. So we're going to put a bin down across in the parking lot across the street and take the Phragmites that we've pulled out and put in plastic bags and throw them into the bin right beside the Phragmites that are still growing in the ditch in the parking lot across the street.
It's unreal.
This is perhaps one of the stupidest things I've ever been involved in.
How much square feet have they infested?
Oh, what's it? So there was some soil that was stored on site there that we spread over half the pond. So half the pond, this pond area, got the soil that was kept on site. And then about halfway through, we started spreading the soil from the hillbillies. Well, the fucking right on that line where we started spreading is where the Phragmites start.
Wow.
There's none in the other half of the pond.
You just haven't gotten there yet.
They will get there eventually. I agree with you. Well, no, because tomorrow Liz from JRC is going to go pull them all out, and it's all going to be saved, Chad. I went in there today. I said, hey, we got to do a controlled burn out back. The fucking morons.
Controlled burn.
A controlled burn. That doesn't seem like something landscapers should be doing. I feel like a landscaper controlled burn can get out of control really fast.
Just ask Chad about the what was the pot fire of 2020?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. By the Great Pot Fire.
The Great Pot Fire.
Was that a controlled burn?
Yeah, the fire department showed up and
they controlled the fuck out of it.
Yeah, they controlled it from the road. Like, yep, we don't watch that. My other boss, well, one of my old bosses, he set the neighbor's field on fire doing a controlled burn. And years later, I had to go to that same field and plant little spruce trees because there was no mature growth, right? It was freshly burned. And the only thing that had grown back was stinging nettle. And I was in shorts because
oh god,
I never thought I'd be planting little spruce trees and nipple high stinging nettle. It was a hell of a day. I almost quit.
You almost packed it in and became a barber.
Yeah. Good thing I stuck it out.
That was the day you knew that barber school was for me.
Yeah. Was.
Oh, Chad and I went to H&A to represent Donner Finest Hour.
Yeah. We did.
Yeah. You guys went down. I bailed.
Next year. There's always next year.
There's always next year I can build again.
I think the most that PK has ever laughed on the Not Our Finest Hour podcast came when Chad said, "Hope you like empanadas."
That was this year.
That was this year. That was early
What
this
episode
year.
was that? That was a great episode.
That was probably around, like probably February last year.
That was
what was that in
fucking...
relation to? Somebody lived in a basement or something?
No, so we were talking about foreign labor or something.
No, it was me telling the story about how the guy said you can live in my basement and then walk downstairs and said to this, looked at the other guy and said, well, this guy lives here now. And then went upstairs and the guy was like, what, there's someone else living in this basement? No one told me about that. And then Chad was like, I hope you like empanadas. I don't know why you chose empanadas. I don't remember the exact, but that's a great episode. This is a totally offside story. This is a crazy story. Like a fucking crazy story. There was a guy that worked with us. This is 15 years ago. And he was like sort of a transient guy who had lived in a few different places, and he worked with us in the fall, ended up getting kicked out of that place right around the spring when we were starting back up. And there was two foremen at the company at that time. There was me and one other foreman. I have two good, we'll bring this home on some. I have another story too that occurred to me that I've never told here that is just so fucking outrageous. And so the other foreman was famous for having people live in his basement to try and, pay his mortgage, right? So he went to the guy who was working at the company who was getting kicked out in like a week or two and said, hey, do you want to live in my basement? It's $400 a month or whatever it was back then, and you can live in the basement. And the guy was crazily appreciative. Like, thank you so much. I've got nowhere to go. This is going to be great for me. I'll live in the basement. I've got a ride to work now because he had no car, no driver's license. So, he could live in the foreman's basement, get a ride into work with the foreman. This is a fucking setup, right? So the foreman says, okay, pack your shit. We're moving you in on Saturday. So they get to the basement. They walk, and I heard this story from the guy, not from the other foreman. They pack his shit up, and he doesn't have a lot of shit. He's kind of a transient dude. It all fits into one carload from the place he's living. He goes to the other place. The foreman says, come on down to the basement. I'll show you where you're living. And they walk down to the basement, and in the basement, it's fully furnished, looks great, but there's a guy standing there, comes out of the bathroom, and the foreman looks at the guy who comes out of the bathroom and says, hey, this motherfucker lives here now, and then goes upstairs and leaves. That guy ended up being on my crew for a while. It was like the worst. I was just looking at this dude, and then the guy leaves, didn't even tell me his name, just said, this guy lives here now, and went upstairs. He's like, I went over, said, hey, how's it going? The guy's like, what are you doing? You can't live in my apartment. This is where I live. He's like, not anymore. We live here together now. Like, the guy didn't even ask the person living in the basement if another person could come and live there. Like,
wow. I love it.
Yeah, just fucking crazy.
That's exactly what I need to do. Yeah, he lives here now. This is Jose. He lives here now.
Yeah, that's what I
like empanadas.
That's
You guys okay?
Jose lives here. Oh my God. That's why what we were talking about. You were talking about, I was saying, like, you have an apartment. That story occurred to me. It was like, this dude just lives here now. How do you like him?
Oh god.
This podcast is fucking.
Oh, I'm glad we've got an episode title.
The even like that story sounds crazy. So it's so crazy that I couldn't have made it up, right? Like that's like the first day the guy was living in the basement with the other person that he didn't know. on the on the on the drive over to the house, they were moving. The foreman guy had said to the other guy, "Hey man, my kitchen is like an open, like if there's something you want to eat in the fridge, if you need something, some food, just grab it out of the fridge. Like, you know, we're all here to help each other." And he says, "Okay, no problem." So after he got settled in with the weird dude that he didn't know, he went upstairs to the kitchen and opened the fridge, and there was some chicken wings on a plate. And he's like, "Oh, chicken wings, great." The guy said I could eat whatever I want. So he heated up the chicken wings in the microwave and he ate them and he cleaned up after himself and went downstairs and went to bed. At like 2:00 in the morning, the foreman guy in a raging drug fit came down the stairs into the basement because there was no separation between these living areas either. And grabbed the first guy that was living in the basement and said, "Did you eat my fucking chicken wings?" And that guy was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't." And this is like at 2:00 in the morning in the pit of the, and then starts punching in the face. "You ate my fucking chicken wings, you motherfucker." And the new guy, now he's moved into this guy's fucking area, unannounced, uninvited, is like sleeping on the couch on the other side while this guy gets his face pounded in for the chicken wings that he ate. Like, you have fucked up this basement guy's life all to fucking hell. So these are like pure stories from landscape. This is like OG landscaping back in the day. And maybe this shit still goes on like this. I don't know.
It
We had a lot of great episodes this year.
Yeah.
We definitely had a lot of great episodes this year. Hope you like empanadas. Fuck. That was a good one. That is probably the most. You're right. That's probably the most. Yeah.
The last one that I had here as a note is destroying a man's vision. That line came up for the first time this year.
At one of our jobs, the landscape architect is notoriously hard to deal with. But really, I think it's a respect thing. She just feels like she makes requests and people don't take her seriously and they don't follow through, and then that becomes a big thing. So I had a meeting with Ricky, who's running the site, and I was like, "Listen, when this lady comes, I don't give a shit what she asks you to do. Just do it immediately. Don't debate it. Don't give her a hard time. It's not worth the fight. She can make our lives living hell. I don't give a shit what she's asking you to do. You do it. And it's just easier. And if we got to write off a guy's labor doing inane, stupid tasks every day, that is way more productive than her. Although in my augmented software reality, I don't account for her because she doesn't exist in my software.
That's sexist.
I don't think. No, in my augmented reality, I just build whatever I want every day. Amazing. Why are you on this show, Mike?
I think we've already cleared that up. You guys don't know how to press record.
Yes, I'm just looking at you, I'm talking about the software, and you're like nodding it, like, oh my god, Mike. I am just making fun of it. I'm not. I wouldn't make fun of it if I didn't love it.
You
Is
sure?
that true? No. Wow. Let's just use that. Now I've totally lost my train of thought. What I was talking about. Oh, so she showed up and came up to Ricky. Like an hour later, she showed up and came up to Ricky and said, "Can you guys start watering? We got to get the watering going. These plants are dying. We need the watering to start." Like,
Wait, she said this recently?
Yeah. At the start of the week.
Did you point out the fact that it's March?
In the end of oh yeah, she just said it. They were up there. They were up on the roof. What were they doing that day? Spreading soil. This was like maybe a week ago, and it was like raining every day, or it rains a little bit, and there's snow. It was right after that storm where the snow had melted and the whole 9 yards. You know what his response was? That's no problem.
Yes,
we'll get right on it. I just need to bring some more hoses tomorrow. Is it okay if we start tomorrow? She said, yeah, start tomorrow. It was like raining. There's a guy out there watering in March. I said to Rick today, hey, you never took that extra hose. I left it out for you. You got I can't micromanage you. He goes, man, listen, we put one hose on and fucking Kyle was watering. I don't know what you want me to do. He goes, I need 5 hoses to get to everywhere, but do we really need to I just needed to physically water something. So he did. And that way when she comes, there's the hose there and we watered something. It's like rained 40 fucking mil.
So she's got a victim mentality, is what you're saying.
No, I think.
Well, you said nobody listens to her.
That's part of the problem.
But that's the reason that nobody listens to her, because she's got a stupid idea.
Well, also, no one listens to any landscape architects.
Rightfully so, in my opinion.
Destroying a man's vision. That's what one guy said to me. The way that you've put these plants in, you've destroyed a man's vision.
Unless you can build it yourself, you don't get to have that vision. That's my opinion on
That's aggressive.
On the matter. Well,
so
you can have all these grand fucking ideas, but don't fucking piss and moan about it if you can't do it yourself.
Oh, there's something to that.
Otherwise, they're going to take all the credit for it in the end.
They do anyways.
Well, yeah, but that's my reasoning behind it, right? If you can't do it yourself, then you don't get to complain about it or talk about how you're ruining someone. Your vision wasn't achievable in the first place if you couldn't do it yourself.
Whose project is it? The designers or the contractors?
I think that was iconic, not our finest hour line.
Those architects.
Destroying a man's vision.
That's all I got for this year, guys.
Well, someone's listening out there, so the year wasn't a complete waste.
Yeah, our YouTube channel is growing, and I've been releasing the video also on Spotify now. So apparently on Spotify, they push video podcasts more than just audio podcasts now. So I've been trying to get the video out at the same time as the audio and pushing video podcast on Spotify.
What are our numbers like, Mike? Is that something we do as a year in review?
We don't, but should we?
Why not? We're the
do you think if people find out no one's listening, the people who are listening will stop listening?
We get, on average, about 10 listens per episode.
No, come on.
Sweet.
And one of them is me.
I don't know if there's I wonder if there's like an average for the year, but just looking across the episodes that are more than, say, 2 weeks old, more than 2 weeks old, we're around 450 to about 500 downloads per episode. So somebody has to download it and press play. And for Spotify, that has to be played for a certain amount of time. I think it's like 30 seconds or 1 minute or something like that to actually count.
So you're saying if we get a lot of people to listen to it for 30 seconds, we could get some huge numbers?
Yes, but the thing about our audience, and thank you to everybody that has listened and continues to listen, they listen to like a large majority of the episode. I think our retention rate on some episodes is in the 90s of percentage.
Wow.
And then the low end, we get down to like 80%, which is crazy.
That seems insane.
Yeah. So the majority of our audience listens to the entire episode.
Wow.
Thank you, majority. Well, the thing is, when someone's listening to the majority of one of our episodes, they know they're not going to get interrupted with advertising. It's a straight shot.
That's not our choice.
It's a straight shot, beginning to end. You don't need to worry about annoying ads like on Mulder's podcast or the Kid Contractor podcast. You don't need to worry about annoying ads on this podcast because God knows we're doing it for free.
Doing it for free.
Maybe next year at this time we'll do a review and we'll have a sponsor.
That would be great. I think that we said the exact same last year.
That's okay. Some things are a slow build.
It's true.
I'm telling you, it's a cult following.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be huge when we're all dead.
And I'm making a big push this year to bank a bunch of shorts that I can constantly put out, and those get a little bit of traction too. And I think, yeah, we'll maybe put a little bit more effort into marketing this year.
Maybe we'll have to. My landscaping business tanks. This is my backup plan. And you don't know 2020. No one knows what 2025 is bringing.
Yep,
could be a tough year out there, since we're not going to have a government for the first half of it. And they're going to be slamming us with some tariffs. Anyways, that's not part of a year in review episode.
I think
I feel like we had a solid year.
I think so. Yeah,
we did that stuff right at the start of the year where we had the Mammoth meetup.
Yeah,
you know, that was this year. Almost 1 year ago, we had the big Mammoth meetup.
Are we going to do because we're running out of time to actually announce a date or anything? Are we going to be doing a Mongolian girl meetup?
Sure.
This might be the last day before Congress that we have.
Is it? I don't know.
No, there'll be one more episode before Congress.
Oh, fuck. We got so much time then. We don't need to worry about that shit.
Yeah. Well, guys, another year in the bank. I thank you for not kicking me off the podcast yet. We'll see if I make it another year.
I don't feel like we can kick you off the podcast. I feel like Chad or I could be replaced.
No, I don't.
But I don't think you can be, Mike. I don't know how Chad feels about that.
I mean, AI is getting pretty good, and soon you guys will just be able to upload the episode and have it edited and published, no problem.
Did you see the thing? There's so much AI art out there that AI art is now copying other AI art as source material.
Yeah.
Fucking stuff up.
Yeah.
So
really?
Yeah.
That's some wild shit.
Yeah.
Some fucking super wild shit. So is that the year in the review episode? Should we start a new episode?
Yeah, let's start it. Well, end the give our final word of the year, PK.
Final word of the year? Well, let me see if I can find a final word of the year. Talk about something else. Give me 30 seconds here. I'll tell you if I have a final word of the year. I think that this is the proper way to end the year. Oh, no.
Is it an affirmation that we're going to get hit with here?
There's no affirmation today. That's fucking terrible. Guy starts giving out affirmations, suddenly fucking stops giving out affirmations.
They're behind the paywall. The rest of them are behind the
paywall. The affirmations are behind the fucking paywall. Oh, these dogs are driving me fucking nuts. I don't know if I've read this one before. I might have, but maybe not.
So this may be a new affirmation or it could be an old affirmation, but I think that we definitely need to end the year in review with an affirmation. What do you guys think?
Hit us with
You
it.
ready? This might be a new one, so don't think that you've heard this before. To love is to share knowledge. As we know, knowledge without effort is only knowledge. We have talked about this one before, but still, it's so relevant. It's such a relevant piece that we should read it again. We have read this before. As we know, knowledge without effort is only knowledge, but knowledge given in love promotes effort or shares the energy to create motion. The sum of love is self-growth. Watch me grow. I am love. I am loved. Be kind, be nice. I mean, I think you can't read that too many times.
I'm going to edit it so the last time you read it plays at the same time you're reading it. So it's double the PK there.
Well, this isn't from, I don't want anyone, I would never want someone to think that I'm taking ownership over this. This is Edward from Mainstream Landscape, and we're trying to share his affirmations whenever we can.
You're not the chef of that word salad?
As we know, knowledge without effort is only knowledge. I also thought that other quote, was also a big deal, and maybe that's a good way to end the season 2. That other quote was gotta find it now because you got to read it really carefully to get it right. I also like the fact that we replayed a couple episodes this year. The take massive action serviced for another. I also liked our debate over whether or not Chad's. Did you buy the cottage, Chad?
Nope, still with the bank.
Don't you fucking hate how long it takes? Like, really, bank? Yes or no? This is like a fucking 30-second thing.
There's a laundry list of like 100 documents they want from me for this thing, which is fine. And I told them, I said, if this isn't going to fly, that's fine. There'll be other cottages that come up. I don't need this one. But if it's going to work, let me know. I'll put in an offer.
Are you ready to end the year?
Yeah.
How you surround yourself with will determine your future. I got nothing more to say. Is that the end? Like,
That's
are you?
I'm not going to end the recording. No.
Oh, I thought you were going to end the recording and then start a new episode.
No, because I don't know what happens if I do that. So I'll just know when I edit it that we'll be starting a new episode.
So now I need to say welcome to the beginning of the episode?
Yep, but we're still in the end of the year. This is still going to make the recording for sure.
No, I know, but this is now an episode.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, those people run the world. They're so impressive. What a bunch of freaks.